All of us here, including our teammate, Brady Quinn, chimed in and wrote down our top 5 quarterbacks heading into the season. This is our first reveal of where it sits. So let's start with number 5, and we're going to start in the SEC. Sophomore Bo Nix has got great DNA for Auburn. He was the freshman of the year in the conference. Number 4, we are going to stay in the SEC. Kyle Trask, again, that leadership that's built in there in Gainesville. A lot of people expecting big things from Florida this season. The number 3 spot, let's go to the Big 12. Sam Ehlinger, the senior. You see his numbers from last year, over 4,300 total yards, but he did lose his top 2 receivers. 2 and 1, we know who they are, but we just want to figure out the order. And at number 2, it's the Buckeyes, Justin Fields. 41 passing touchdowns last season. And Trevor Lawrence, who's probably going to be with that number 1 preseason team in a couple months with Clemson. Remember, Clemson took care of the Buckeyes in the semifinals, 29-23. So let's talk about the most important position. And just about everybody had Lawrence at number 1, Joel, including you. Why is Trevor Lawrence the best quarterback in college football heading into the season?
Well, I don't think it's clear cut. Let me just start. That was a tough ranking at the top between Justin Fields and Trevor Lawrence for me. These 2 guys have separated themselves out in college football. They're phenomenal players. They're phenomenal prospects. I just went to what we just saw. Okay, Trevor Lawrence led his team back and beat Justin Fields on the field of play. So that's why I ranked them Lawrence 1 and Fields 2. I will say that it would not shock me at all if Fields has a better season, because I think he's going to have a little bit better wide receiver core to throw to. But that's why I ranked Lawrence number 1 and Fields number 2.
And remember, Clemson now without Justin Ross, their leading returning receiver, out for the year with a spinal injury. We wish him well on his surgery coming up. Matt, you had Trevor Lawrence number 1 as well. Why?
I think it's just similar to what Joel said, and also just really based on experience. I mean, this is a guy who's started 2 years in college football, and he's been to 2 titles and won 1. And I'm really interested and excited to see how he develops in that 3rd year. I think when you talk about quarterbacks, and Coach and Joel can attest to this, as a true freshman, really it's about learning your playbook, going out there and just trying to execute at a high level the best you can. That 2nd year, defenses kind of catch up to you. They kind of understand. But a quarterback, now it's about, okay, what's happening on the other side of the ball? And we saw Trevor Lawrence, I don't want to use the word struggle, but we saw him, defense kind of caught up to him. He didn't have the statistical year he has a freshman. But again, he fought through and he made some big time plays against Ohio State in the semifinal game. Experience alone, I think. And when I look at Justin Fields, who's absolutely phenomenal, I just think he's going to get better with more experience and with more time as a passer. And a better anticipation, making better decisions. And it's hard to say those things when you look at the numbers. You barely turn the football over. But that's why I think this is exciting. And we have 2 elite players that probably are going to be the top 2 picks in the draft next season.
So the other elite quarterback, Justin Fields. Reggie, you're the only one of us who had him at number 1.
Well, I think Trevor Lawrence has the benefit of playing on a great team in a very weak conference. I think Justin Fields has the benefit of playing on a great team in a really tough conference. And so by that, I think he's going to have more opportunities on a bigger stage against tougher teams. You talk about their first 3 games of the season. They have to go to Oregon, and then they play at home at Buffalo. Neither one of those games are going to be easy out the gate, as Coach earlier was talking about how tough some of these games are going to be early on, given the current state of the pandemic we're going through. But I just think Justin Fields is shifty. He's big. He's solid. I had him a couple of times as one of my running backs of the week, just because of his ability to read plays in the run game, in the read zone option. And then he could throw the football well. He accounted for 41 touchdowns in his first year at Ohio State. Trevor Lawrence, I think it was around 30 touchdowns. So to me, Justin Fields is the total package, and he will have a better year than Trevor Lawrence this year.
He's got some elite young receivers that are really going to have to sprout big time and quickly in Columbus. Coach, let's look at your top 5 quarterbacks and talk us through it, please.
Sure. I had Fields and Trevor right next to each other. I put Trevor Lawrence for one reason. He played one more year. That was it. The one thing I will say about Justin Fields, because I'm very close to the situation, any concerns about him being a throwing quarterback are gone now.
Yeah.
He's developed. He's outstanding. I hear the guys talk. I talked to Coach Day, and obviously the quarterback coach I'm very close to. Comparisons to Dwayne Haskins are everywhere now as far as throwing the football, which that's an elite thrower. I love Sam Ehlinger just because he's a returning quarterback. I love who he is. I love what he stands for. That team has to get better. The guy that I love Slovis. I think the fact that there's a returning offense coordinator, and they throw the ball everywhere. So what dictates, I guess the question I would ask, to me, what dictates the best quarterback in the land is, are you a winner and can you win the championship? That remains to be seen at USC. However, statistically, you're probably looking at the guy that will have the best stats for the season.
Yeah.
Because of the style of offense, they throw it all. They don't run the ball. So statistically, I that's now how I pick my favorite quarterback or the best quarterback. Mine's going to be who can lead his team to a championship. That's why I have Justin and Trevor number one. And then I also Kyle Trask. I just believe in Dan Mullen. I've seen what he can do with a returning quarterback. It's well documented. I put him and Ryan Day as the two best I've ever been around. And I just think he's got good people around him, another year in the system, and a very talented quarterback.
Sam Howell got a couple fifth place votes, if you will. I think 3 of us voted for the sophomore down in Chapel Hill. Matt, Mr. Heisman, take us through your top 5 quarterbacks.
Yeah, I mean, I talked about Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields, and just a little bit on Sam Ehlinger. I think just a tremendous competitor, and he wins football games. I think the thing with Texas is just the pressure and the expectation to win every year. They just haven't lived up to that expectation, and not to mention defensively, they just haven't been very good. So that puts a lot of pressure on Sam Ehlinger to go out there. I mean, he's responsible for 80 of the 110 offensive touchdowns over the last 2 seasons. I mean, he does everything, and I don't want to say the Tim Tebow comparison. Coach, you coached Tim Tebow, but just kind of has that nature, right? The build, the tough runner, the ability to escape and make plays on the run. He also played really good against the best opponents. He's played well against Oklahoma. He played well against LSU last year. And then you talk about Kyle Trask at Florida. And just to reiterate Coach's point, Dan Mullen is a quarterback coach. He's fantastic, offensive mind. I think Florida's got a chance to really compete in the SEC this year. And just to get thrust into action last year as a guy who's had experience, who's been around the program, and to play how he did was phenomenal. And then I believe I have Sam Howell in there too, and really just the true freshmen. You look at Slovis, Howell, Bo Nix, a lot of talented players, and I think it's going to be exciting to see how these guys develop in year 2.
Real quick on USC, how about the job they've done recruiting the last couple months? Just the other day, they picked up their second top 40 quarterback recruit for next season. So Clay Helton and company have really picked up in that department. But I don't know if you guys have been able to notice in this 6 box here, our friend Joel Klatt, he's been squirming, he's been anxious, he's trying to get in something, and you know where he's going, don't you? He's going to quarterback U, Norman, Oklahoma.
That's exactly right. Okay. I put a guy that hasn't taken a meaningful snap of college football in my top 5, which is Spencer Rattler, quarterback, I think, at Oklahoma for this year. And here's why. Lincoln Riley is his head coach. If you go back, guys, Lincoln Riley has taken 3 straight transfers. And in the last 5 football seasons that we've had in college football, every time Lincoln Riley has a Oklahoma quarterback, that quarterback finishes in the top 5 of the Heisman Trophy voting. He finishes in the top 4 in the quarterback rating statistically, and they win a Big 12 championship. And for the last few years, they've been in the college football playoff. So, Coach, you always talk about championships. What's on your mantle? Well, Oklahoma has that. Maybe not Rattler per se, but I just don't believe that when you look at Oklahoma, they're going to fall off the wayside. Remember, there was a lot of questions about Kyler Murray before he started for Lincoln Riley because it didn't go all that great for him at Texas A&M. There were a number of questions about Jalen Hurts. Both of those guys had been beat out. Baker Mayfield had been beat out. And he took these guys and made them some of the best, if not the best quarterbacks in college football. And so I don't think it should be any different when you look at Spencer Rattler. And for that reason, the fact that Lincoln Riley is his head coach, I put Spencer Rattler at number 4 and Keaton Slovis at number 5. I think Slovis is going to have a monster year, a really great player. There's one concern for me with Keaton Slovis and USC. One, will Graham Harrell's air raid system protect him, and can he stay healthy for the entire season? If he does, he's going to have a monster year.
For the best access, perspective, and personalities in all of sports, follow us at Fox Sports on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoy that clip, make sure you click subscribe somewhere down here. From game highlights to exclusive interviews and rankings, we've got everything you need as a college football fan right here, College Football on Fox.